Good evening, Howard High School. Well, it's evening when I'm recording this. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you guys are, watching this, listening. My name is Megan Payne. I work for the University of Alabama. I am the recruiter for Maryland, DC, and Delaware. I did grow up in the Maryland area. I went to Good Counsel High School back in the day before heading to Alabama for undergrad and grad school. And I just moved back home not too long ago to help students in this area kind of go through this process. So feel free at any point to give me, shoot me an email. My contact information is going to be at the very end of this presentation. And we're going to be really looking at, a little bit of an inside look at the admissions process and how we make decisions and kind of what the landscape looks like. So just to get started, I know, especially growing up in this area, I think there can be so much pressure put on students to really, apply to the most selective institutions and be as competitive as possible and things like that. And I just want y'all to know that there really is a place for you. There are hundreds, actually a couple thousand colleges in the United States, and it's not actually as competitive as you think. And there are different, types of colleges, right? You have open admission, where really if you have a high school diploma or GED, you're going to be admitted. You have colleges all over the country that you can definitely find, a special place for you. You just have to know how to really navigate the process. And that's what hopefully I'll help you kind of get started on. Or if, you obviously kind of know what you're doing, maybe I'm reiterating a couple of things, okay? First and foremost, I tell students this all the time. Usually y'all are probably thinking, it's better almost to tell your parents this sometimes, but you really are taking the driver's seat, right? You as the student need to take the driver's seat, do the research. You need to be the one at the front lines of this process, so to speak. And how do you start doing that, right? I think some of the quickest ways are, especially with this process, to try to get it to be less foreign, is really understanding admissions lingo, how we are speaking about things, understanding what they mean, right? And so that's knowing early decision, early action, rolling admissions, regular decision, open enrollment, just knowing what the differences are in all of those, and that even knowing that it can be very university specific, right? Early decision can be restrictive or non-restrictive. And that means different things for different universities, especially test optional. I know a lot of you guys probably are starting to think, okay, what's the ACT? What's the SAT situation? What are we going to do? Are these universities going to become test optional just for this year because of what we've had going on with Corona and things like that? And so just know that test optional can also mean a few different things. It can have a few different implications. It can have scholarship implications that you might not realize. So it's really important to pay attention to the details, especially in this process, when you're researching, when you're consolidating your list of where you're going to apply and going through that process, okay? So definitely check out that Learn More Here link, hyperlink. It'll help you kind of just read through definitions of different lingo we like to use, to make ourselves, more intelligent. So also something that I think you should do before you get too deep into different researching into a specific college is exploring all types of colleges, right? You need to know what the difference is between private and public, knowing your community college, liberal arts colleges, what does that mean? You should know, you should come away with an understanding through this process of what all of those different types of colleges are. That way you can say, okay, that's not what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to be looking more at, small private institutions. I like their size. I'm liking certain cities, things like that, navigating through. Now, again, remember, you're in charge of this process, and it's your job to hone in your list of top schools and narrowing it down through your research And research obviously starts now. It does not start in October of your senior year. It starts, really as early as possible to start getting ideas and to play around with them, especially so that you can plan visits and different things. I know we're in a unique situation right now with visiting, but this is actually, I think, a really great opportunity to be virtually visiting, virtually connecting with colleges. I'm telling you, I have so many colleagues at different institutions that are really bending over backwards, trying to help you understand their institution, understand their application process, their decision process, what their timeline is going to be, what student life is like, housing, what your academic program is like, right? Because obviously you're going to school to get a degree in an academic program. So being able to connect academically, what an amazing opportunity. And so a lot of institutions, they're doing these virtual tours and academic sessions. So definitely look for them. If you cannot find them online, what a great opportunity to, and also to show great initiative, especially if you're a sophomore or junior, email the admissions office. They'll be able to let you know if they're offering these things, okay? And I'm telling you right now, it seems like everybody is, and we are even with the University of Alabama, we're even offering interactive, like current student Q&A sessions every single day. So some really cool stuff happening with that. Once you get through your research, honing in on your list, it's time to strategize, obviously. And there's definitely a lot of strategy that needs how you approach the application process, right? Because you might not have to do everything. If you're, 6 schools that you've narrowed it down to, don't all need, which this will probably would be unique, but obviously, but if they all say they don't want, interviews, you can't do interviews, well, then you get out of interviews, right? Or if they don't need recommendation letters, you don't need a recommendation letter. I would kind of find it odd if 6 schools didn't want them. But anyways, and this is another reason you cannot have 20 schools on your list, right? You cannot manage that situation. Having too many schools, you are going to miss a requirement. You are going to forget to submit something on time. Deadlines are so important. They're hardcore deadlines. Admissions offices are dealing with thousands. And I'm talking not just like, here's 5,000 applications. University of Alabama had 37,000 applications last year. 37,000. Okay, there's a lot going on. You have to stick to these deadlines and understand them. And you cannot wake up the morning of, for instance, December 14th and think, oh, I can apply, be admitted, and get all my stuff into UA before their scholarship application deadline, which is December 15th, right? That's not going to happen. Be realistic. Know your deadlines. Know what you need. Okay. And you're in charge, obviously. So once you obviously strategically get this in place of like your applications, whether you're doing Common App, Coalition, figuring all of that out, because obviously, again, part of strategizing is knowing, do I actually even need to do Common App? Or do 4 of my schools have just an institutional application and I can only do that? Well, then obviously you don't need to do Common Application. Or maybe you do, there's just a lot of different ways to strategize, right? Coalition, all that good stuff. Now, obviously, once you do the application, you're going to wonder, how are colleges actually going to come to a decision? And this is where I want to give you a little bit of an insight. I feel like I never understood this, or I don't know if I just didn't care to pay attention. But, well, maybe I guess I did know it. I'll give myself a little credit. But with the application process being so varied or just being really specific to certain schools, our decision process that we come to and how we even make a decision or what committee looks like or how many eyes get on applications or how long reading, takes at at a college, it all varies. And so, keep that in mind. Understand that there are a lot of decision factors, and we're going to go more into that, right? Because there are different decision factors and there's so many, every university is going to rank which factor is most important differently or not, right? So for University of Alabama, how we come to a decision is very quick. It's amazing. I love it. I'm so thankful for it. Makes my job easier. Our processing team handles all of it, right? They process, basically, you fill out an application that only takes you about 10 minutes because it's biographical. It's a $40 application fee, or you qualify for a NACAC fee waiver. And then we need your test score and your transcript, okay? Because we're going to evaluate what classes you took, your GPA, and your test score, and we come to a decision, and we work on a rolling admissions basis, okay? Ours is kind of a simple merit-based style. That's us. And there are a lot of schools that do rolling admissions, but they don't necessarily look at it like that. They think maybe more holistically, or other factors come into play, like recommendation letters, essays, things like that. And that's what we're kind of going to look more into, is how to understand holistic. Because I really feel like generally, especially in this area, the schools y'all are going to be applying to are mostly going for that holistic review, or if they are doing even just like rolling or whatever their decision deadline or timeline, most universities are looking more at holistic review. But holistic review does not mean that every factor is applied in the decision process equally, right? Like, oh, well, my GPA and the fact that I am, my state of origin is Maryland is gonna, it's gonna be the same level of importance at University of Maryland. Like, of course it's not, right? Like, what do you think in this list of 26 factors is most important to UMD? I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. And that's why, and I want to kind of essentially like prove my point in terms of holistic review, that there are factors that are more important to certain universities. And, that will hopefully give you an idea of how they're going to come to a decision, and how to best put your foot forward and things like that, okay? This right here is UMD's list. That hyperlink will take you to literally their webpage that show you the 26 factors that they say they are looking at in terms of their decision process, okay? And in terms of a holistic review, one way to understand what each university's, what is most important, or what's considered or what's not considered, is through looking at the common data set. I think it's an interesting way to understand how different every university is. And probably at this point you're thinking, okay, Megan, what in the world is the common data set? And so basically, the common data set is a big initiative with a ton of different colleges that fill out this form. And it's like a universal form that they fill out and basically put in numbers and things like that really help publishers like College Board, U.S. News and World Report. It helps them disseminate information to you guys, right? Because College Board is it's a very cool resource to look at different articles and different conclusions that they're making about the world of admissions and how we make decisions and things like that. And so they're using the common data set in a lot of cases to figure that out. But they obviously, College Board will give you a lot more, gumption and details and really kind of break it down for you. But the common data set is a really brief way for us as universities to give out information and things like that. And so usually the Office of Institutional Research and Assessment, you'll find it on those kinds of web pages. For the University of Alabama in particular, we're going to look at University of Alabama, Wake Forest, and the University of Virginia, right? They all have different selectivity rates in terms of how many applicants they actually admit. Their size is different. We're a public institution. Wake Forest is private. UVA is public. And so, it's just examples. You can literally Google common data set in your university. There are 10 different, basically like major categories they fill out. This in particular is referencing, first year freshman admission decision factors and things. So you'll find it it's usually in like the third section. Okay, so for instance, University of Alabama, what do we consider most important? Like I was saying, tests, GPA, things like that. Wow, look at Wake Forest. So different, right? Very, very important to them are not only what you're doing academically, but your application essay and your character and personal qualities. Wow. So they are going to dissect your application essay so much. Also really interesting. Considered if submitted, your test scores, ACT or SAT, they are test optional. Wake Forest is going to be test optional. Obviously, there is going to be more details to why and how they're test optional, but just know that that's kind of a cool difference. Recommendation letters. Look at the interview. Interview is important at Wake Forest. We don't even offer an interview at University of Alabama. A lot of universities actually don't offer interviews. It's just universities are too large, too many applicants. You can't do it. At smaller universities, Wake Forest is a smaller size. That interview is possible. So really interesting things to look at. Okay. Also, University of Virginia, looking at them, I thought it was really interesting. Like their recommendation letters are very important. Also, their state residency is a factor that they consider very important and rank just as high as, you know, your class rank, GPA, your academic rigor. There is definitely, in terms of decision factor, the majority of colleges, when it comes to what is like the major decision factor, because obviously a lot of schools are going test optional, things like that. The major decision factor is always going to be your grades and core classes. What you are doing academically, showing that you are challenging yourself, right? That you are challenging yourself. You're doing really well in that challenge academically. Like, it is going to be the most important factor. It's one of like, it just is. NACAC even has like different statistics and surveys they've looked at to just even kind of prove to students like, look, this is the most important thing. What you are doing in the classroom, how you're challenging yourself, it speaks the most to us. And then obviously just even looking at these common data sets, you can see other factors, you know, just on the university. Now, again, navigating this process, you're in the driver's seat, doesn't mean there can't be some passengers. So definitely ask for help. That's really how I want to close out to you guys. You know, hopefully this gave you, you know, a little bit more insight into how to understand how we make decisions, you know, how to get going with your research and things like that. But first and foremost, just know asking for help will really help you in the end and get you to where you want to be. Probably the biggest piece of advice I give out, I mean, the most important thing I think is developing communication and relationships with your admissions officers and representatives, okay? Connecting to them can just open up so many different possibilities and really helps you understand if you can fit at that college, right? Really understanding college fit and going beyond just numbers and, you know, oh, do I have higher or average to what the average, you know, GPA was for last fall, you know, thinking about all these numbers and things, you know, think about the college fit, the students, getting to talk to students, alumni, you know, your academic program. And also another huge benefit of talking to admissions officers is we know the process. We can check your application, see if things came in. I mean, we have access to all of that, and we, again, demonstrated interest, super important. I think it's whether a university, you know, whether on the common data set or not that it says demonstrated interest is important, I think it's important to every single university. And especially some universities take it way into consideration, like small private institutions, but please just understand, like, demonstrate that interest with the admissions office and just help yourself. Like, you are going to have questions. And if you don't have questions, maybe you just haven't started asking the right questions. I'm just not sure. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. My contact info, email me if you have any questions about this presentation or need anything at all. Stay safe and healthy.